Hi everyone, I'm Kristen and this is my video for our discussion this week, which is the initial family therapy session roleplay. It's going to be broken down into 3 segments and I will begin with the first segment. So our first segment is how would you begin the first meeting in terms of laying out the goals and structure and starting to join with the family to gain their trust. Okay, so hi everybody. Thank you for coming in today and keeping your appointment. I know that the difference between scheduling an appointment and actually coming into a therapy session are different, and I want you guys to commend yourselves on having the strength to come in to therapy, because then that kind of shows me as your therapist and your family unit that everybody is ready to kind of grasp what's happening within the family as a unit and work on bettering the family unit. So you've completed the first step, so congratulations, and we're going to get started on some hard work. We'll see. Okay, so I don't know that I really liked all of that, but I want to keep it in there. So first I want to explain to you confidentiality. And confidentiality means that whatever is said in this room stays in this room unless I feel that you are a harm to yourself or to somebody else. And the other thing is I would perhaps have to discuss some case notes with my supervisor. And I would always get your permission before doing that. And again, everything stays within this agency, and I want you guys to know and understand that your information is safe here. Unless we discuss something separately and you feel that you may want to bring that up in another session. And I say that to say you are here for family therapy, but there will be times where I have to meet with you individually, perhaps break you down into a smaller group. So maybe just mom and dad, maybe just brother, sister, maybe dad and son, maybe just mom. There is no way to really judge on what it's going to look like until we really start getting into some of the reasons on why you guys have come in today. So I want you to understand that that's what it could look like, and not every session is going to be the 5 of us in this room speaking in a circle. The other thing I want is I have reviewed your intake form, so I have kind of a foundation of what brought you guys in, but I'm not going to just rely on the intake form. So what today is going to look like is we're going to speak here in a group, and I'm going to speak with you, mom and dad, brother and sister, on why you think you're here and kind of what your role is in the family. And I only want you to share what you feel comfortable sharing. But what that helps me do is that helps me get an idea of what your family dynamic looks like, which is beneficial in moving forward with our sessions. And also kind of gives you guys an idea to see what the other person's point of view is. So maybe you don't know exactly what's in mom's thoughts until you can hear something today, and that might trigger something for you. So I would ask that you always be open to the process as long as you're comfortable. If at any time there is a conversation that makes you uncomfortable or that you don't want to be a part of, you can feel free at any time to let me know if you can, or if it's just too much for you, you can leave the room. What will happen at that time is I will kind of pause what's happening in the room, and I will follow up with whoever leaves to ensure that they are okay. Maybe they need help processing, and also to ensure that everybody is always safe. So I want everybody in this room to see that this is a safe space and we have some ground rules in order to help facilitate that. One of our rules is, again, whatever is said here stays here. Another big rule is respect. There will be no name calling. And also, I don't want anybody to overtalk. It's hard to hear when you have people who are yelling, or when you have people who are trying to overtalk the other person. Nothing's really getting accomplished. So those are the things that I want to keep in mind as we move forward. And we're going to go through some goals, but that's hard to do right now, being that we haven't really had a chance to discuss anything yet. But I definitely want to understand what some of your goals are and what brought you here, and answer any questions that you have along the way. Okay, so that was the first segment. So our second segment, what might you say to interrupt any bickering or blaming that the parents may start to do with each other? So I think it is important to stop the bickering and the blaming. However, as long as it's respectful bickering, I would kind of let it go on not too long, but I would kind of want to get an understanding of what is causing it and what feelings are coming out in it. However, if they break the rules that were set up, if there's name calling, if they're being disrespectful, if they're getting not just bickering, but if they're really starting to become aggressive, not just in their body language, but in the tone that they're using, I would then intervene by saying something along like, okay, let's remember the rules, everyone. And if we don't remember them, let's go over them again. And then I'd revert back to the rules of no name calling, no raising our voices, being respectful, and letting everybody in the session know that these feelings that are coming up, or the things that we are talking about, can be very intense, and there's nothing wrong with saying, I need a break. So that would be something that I would put in at that time as well, with if you need to get a drink of water, if you need to take a couple minutes, please now take the time to do that, so that way when you can come back into session, or if you can come back into session, then we can follow the rules and ensure that everybody is feeling safe and respected, and we can move forward. And just kind of reminding the family that the bickering, which is what they were doing at home possibly, is the reason why they're not getting anywhere. So that's not going to work in here. And how can we have a conversation that's not bickering, but is still accomplishing a goal? And I would remind the family to use I statements versus you statements, and to kind of take ownership of their feelings. Okay, our third segment, how might you end the session, including any homework you might suggest to help them meet the goals that they have set for themselves. After the first initial visit, I think sometimes maybe homework could be difficult because you are just kind of getting started with everything. But I would give the homework that I think that would be appropriate after a first session, depending on what occurred in the session, would be reminding the family that if they're being seen 1 week or in 2 weeks, remind the family that they want to try to always use the I versus you statements. And maybe just putting in simply some fun homework where they have to have a family game night or a family dinner, bringing them back to family time. If perhaps the daughter's feeling a little left out with mom, maybe putting in some homework that says there's some one-on-one time between mom and the daughter, or mom and the son, depending on what comes out in the session. I think that's when you should give homework. You shouldn't go into a session saying, well, this is the homework I'm going to give the family. I think it really depends on what happens in the session and what you think would be applicable and appropriate, and what's going to help the family continue to grow as a family unit. And then just remind the family that respect and safety is always key. And I think that's about it. And I look forward to everybody's comments. Okay, good night.